Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lifesculptors podcast. I'm Dante Poole, your host, your conversationalist, and welcome to a space where we talk about life, right? We talk about growth and identity and resilience and durability. We talk about relationships and our connections to each other. And today is no less than any of that because we are starting our conversation with a story by Mac Burnett and John Clausen. It doesn't even have a word title. It really has a picture, and it's a picture of a circle. And so we're calling it Circle. That's what we're going to call it. Circle, a circle, a circle. Oh, man. So let's get into the read. Uh, this is Circle. This is Circle's waterfall. Circle's in front of a waterfall, of course. And one day, Circle and Triangle and Square played a game near her waterfall. Here are the rules, said Circle. I will close my eyes and count to 10. You must hide somewhere. And when I open my eyes, I will try to find you. Square said, okay. Triangle said, neat. There's one more rule, said Circle. No hiding behind the waterfall. Square said, okay. Triangle said, why not? Because, Circle said, it's dark back there. Square said, okay. Triangle said, I'm not afraid of the dark. Circle closed her eyes and counted to 10. Ready or not, said Circle, here I come. When she opened her eyes, Square was just standing there. He pointed and said, Triangle went behind the waterfall. Circle sighed. Oh, I'll go find him. Circle said, Square, you are very brave. I know, Circle said, and she slipped behind the waterfall. It was quiet on the other side of the waterfall, and Circle called out, Triangle! Triangle! Where are you? There was no answer. Further inside, there wasn't much light. And Triangle said, and Circle said, Triangle, Triangle, where are you? There was no answer. So she went a little further in until it was all dark. Y'all, there's a picture of her, eyes only in the dark. Triangle, said Circle. There you are. Why do you always break all the rules? There was no answer. Y'all, there's another set of eyes in the dark now. Why do you always spoil our fun? There was no answer. Why are you such a bad friend? There was no answer. I'm sorry, said Circle. I should not have said that. You are a good friend. You just made us worried. We love you, Triangle. Thanks, said Triangle from behind her. Circle turned around and said, Triangle? Yes, said Triangle. I'm sure glad to see you and Square. Circle said, Square is outside. This is not Square. I thought it was you. No, said Triangle. That's not me. No, said Circle. Oh, said Triangle. Circle turned back around and faced the shape in the dark. Who are you? She asked. There was no answer. Ah, said Triangle. And Triangle and Circle ran very fast back through the dark, back through where there was not much light, and back through the waterfall, back to the outside. Square was waiting for them. They told him what had happened. Well, Square said, I'm glad I stayed out here. Triangle said, now I'm afraid of the dark. Circle looked back at the water falling. You know, she said, that shape in the dark might not have been bad. It might have been a good shape. We just could not see it. Circle closed her eyes. I wonder, said Circle, what kind of shape it was. Then they all closed their eyes, and they each pictured a shape. If you closed your eyes, what shape do you picture? The end. Y'all, three friends. A game of hide and seek, a warning, and one brave and maybe reckless decision to step beyond the waterfall. Everybody has a circle of friends, right? Like this, where there's one who is like, hey, listen, I'm playing by the rules, and there's another one who's always risking it all, right? Relationships, they're so important, right? And if we have a diverse group of friends around us, it just makes life better. But what's interesting is in every community, in every part of our community, whether it's in our families, in our workspaces, in our friendships, every relationship we have has a waterfall, a place that is beyond our comfort zone. It's an unknown space that our relationships sometimes enter into. And I don't know, is it just me, or does it seem like relationships are really tense these days? Like it just feels like something is brewing and something is happening to the emotional or relational climate around us. Y'all, we catch feelings faster than we catch understanding. Uh, and all of that influences how we show up for each other. Hmm. What's been on my mind is that we we kind of think independently. We are individuals is really what I'm saying. But y'all, we feel collectively. Mm. The relational climates around us, they influence how we show up, what we say, and even what we believe. Oh, and then listen. Like this word climate is really interesting because when we think about this word climate, we often think about climate change, which is a change to the physical environment of the earth, right? So we talk about the ozone and carbon emissions and all these things, how it's warmer or colder, or the glaciers are melting, and all the way we are showing up on the earth is impacting the earth. Can I tell you that there's also been relational climate change? Oh, the relationships around us are being impacted by how we're showing up. I see this every day in the work I get to do with teams and leaders and educators and people all around it. Because, y'all, it's not the mission statement that sets the culture. No, it's the emotional climate that sets the culture. And that climate influences everything. Oh, so like if you're feeling exhausted lately, like you're carrying something that's not even your own worries, but it feels like everyone else's too, you're not imagining it. So many spaces are feeling so heavy. We are collectively tired. Psychologists call this collective fatigue. It's that slow drain that happens when the entire community lives in a constant loop of stress and response, and stress and reaction, and stress and reaction. It's y'all, you feel it when you're scrolling online, or sitting in meetings, or even standing in line at a store. Everybody seems just a little more edgy, just a little more guarded, a little quicker to react. Hmm. And so they describe this kind of shared atmosphere as an emotional climate. It's invisible. It's an emotional weather system almost that influences how we show up together. Yeah, see, our nervous systems are constantly reading atmospheres and responding to one another. We don't just feel, we catch feelings. Oh, yes. Like, have you ever noticed that one person's frustration can shift the whole tone of the room? Like, it's just incredible. One person's calm can settle down a room. Y'all, that's what's called emotional contagion. I know that word sounds familiar to you because it's also familiar to the word we know as contagious. Y'all, feelings are contagious. And when an entire community has been living under stress for years, whether it's through a pandemic or politics or conflict or the constant noise of life, that stress, it almost becomes like the air we breathe. Oh, and when the climate runs on anxiety or outrage, our nervous system starts to adapt so that it can survive. And then we become hyper alert. We become easily defensive and easily triggered. The truth is, we're not just tired. We are tired of reacting. And in my book, Developing a Durable Mind, I talk about resilience, the ability to stay centered when the world around you isn't. Oh, resilience doesn't mean that you're not affected, though. It means you recognize what's influencing you and you choose how you're going to respond. Huh. A durable mind doesn't just sit around. It asks some questions. It asks like, what's my stuff and what's your stuff? And what is mine to carry and what is it that really belongs to the climate that I'm in? I mean, think about the circles your own circles, right? And ask yourself, who's influencing the emotional climate in those circles? Like, whose tone do I catch without even realizing it? What atmosphere do I bring into the room? Like, what are people catching from me? Ooh-wee. Research shows that when we spend time together, whether at home or at work or in worship or at the store or in a movie theater or in a restaurant, our bodies actually synchronize. Our heart rates, our breathing, even our micro expressions line up. You know what that's called? Co-regulation. Oh, you see it happening with a child and their mother. That child is having a fit. They're throwing a tantrum and the mother is staying calm. And she meets that kid with calm and that kid begins to calm down because she is co-regulating that kid. You see it in relationships all over the place. Y'all, we regulate each other. Our brains synchronize, our breathing synchronize, our sense of safety even synchronizes. Y'all, we borrow from each other. We borrow calm from each other, but we can also borrow chaos. Yeah. So if you've ever wondered why one anxious person can just shift a whole entire meeting, or why a single grounded person's presence in a space can bring relief, what you've witnessed is co-regulation in action. You might be that person that brings calm into this space, or maybe you're the person who brings anxiety into it. Regardless of what it is, it's co-regulation in action. And in developing a durable mind, I talk about that a durable mind isn't just something that's made as personal strength. It's about relational awareness. I have to be aware of not just how others are showing up, but how am I showing up in the space? You see, we need resilience to keep us from absorbing all of the emotions around us. And we need exploration to keep us curious enough to get, to not get defensive when there's tension in the room. Because right now in America, and even in other countries, we're seeing what happens when communities lose that curiosity. We're living in echo chambers of emotions and fear and frustration. They get passed around like a cold. And before you know it, outrage feels normal. Oh, man. See, we need exploration because it asks, what's going on here? Not who's right, But what's influencing all of us right now? Because in the end, the most powerful thing we can learn about community is that every emotional climate can be influenced. Dr. David McMillan and Dr. David Chavis, they studied this whole sense of community psychology and what they called a sense of community, they say, is made up of four things. Four elements make up our sense of community. It's membership, it's influence, it's shared fulfillment, and it's emotional connection. Man. And when one of those breaks down, then people start protecting themselves instead of connecting themselves. When one of those breaks down, we protect instead of connect. And that's what we're seeing right now in so many spaces, right? We're seeing what happens when a climate of protection is replaced by a climate of connection. We've become so busy defending ourselves and defending our points and defending our opinions about something that we forgot what it means to just defend our relationships. And when we protect without purpose, then purpose slowly, and protection rather, slowly turns into isolation. Let me say that again. When we protect without purpose, then protection slowly becomes isolation. And it happens when our sense of safety erodes, when trust gets real thin. And when it gets thin like that, the gaps that it creates, we begin to fill with fear and frustration. And once fear takes over, it makes everything sound like a threat. Oh my goodness. That's why we need resilience and exploration, because they are survival skills for our communities. Resilience keeps us steady when the atmosphere gets heavy, and exploration, it keeps us curious when the conversations get hard. Together, they make us capable of positive influence instead of the infection of negativity. When I was writing the Developing the Durable Mind, I realized that strength alone wasn't durability. That what makes a mind durable is its flexibility inside connection. It's the ability to bend towards understanding without breaking away from our convictions. You can have both, your conviction and connection. And we have been experiencing in this world where it's trying to make us make a choice between our convictions and connections, as if we can't have different convictions and still remain connected. Here's the encouraging part, though. Climates can change. Every system can be influenced by the people inside of it. Oh, yeah. We can influence the climates in which we're living. And you don't have to control the room to change it. No, 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 no. You just have to model what it's missing. Oh, my goodness. You just have to model what it's missing. And so if the air in the space feels tense, just lower your shoulders. And when the conversation gets fast, right? Because when people are frustrated, the conversation can pick up very quickly. I want you to slow your tone down. Yeah. And when everybody starts defending, I want you to become the person who listens. Because we all want to be heard and seen and respected. And y'all, these small moves, they can interrupt contagion. They can create a space for connection. And so the goal isn't to agree on everything. It's to remember that belonging matters more than being right. Belonging means more, matters more than being right. Okay. So maybe the challenge for us right now is to stop asking who changed the climate and start asking, how can I influence the climate for good? So let's talk about how we practice that, right? I got a few steps to help us practice that. I wrote a few things down, right? Here's the first thing I want you to do. First of all, I want us to think about how do we start influencing the climate around us instead of absorbing it. And the first step is I need you to notice before you react. It means pausing long enough to ask, whose emotion am I about to amplify? And is it the right one for this atmosphere? Hmm. Oh, take a pause is what I'm telling you. Take a pause. Here's the second thing, right? We gotta name what's happening. You always hear me talk about naming what's happening. Why do I say that? It's because when I can name what I'm feeling, then what happens is I bring the emotion out of my body and into language. And that single act lowers the intensity of the feeling because it gives it a container. And if it's in a container, then I can manage it differently. I can manage it better. And so I gotta name what's happening. What am I feeling? Simply saying this room feels tense, or I sense a lot of frustration right now. It brings that emotion from the body and into language and in a container so I can manage it. And that brings me to my third thing you can do. So you're going to take a pause. You're going to notice before you react. You're going to name what's happening. The third thing is you're going to anchor yourself in purpose. Y'all, resilience and resilient minds, they remember what matters most. And sometimes when we get caught up in the heat of a moment, we forget what matters most. And if your goal is understanding, then keep that tone aligned with that goal. Keep your tone aligned with that goal. If peace is your goal, then let your words breathe peace, even when disagreement remains. Anchor yourself in what matters most. Can I tell you? Your feelings aren't what matters most. Oh, I know it's going to get me in trouble with some folk. I'm just telling you, your feelings aren't always what matters most. Just because you're feeling something, I'm telling you, I could feel one way right now, and 5 seconds later, I'm going to feel something different. Feelings are fleeting, and y'all, feelings will lie to us. Okay. All right. Okay. Here's the fourth thing, right? Here's the fourth thing. I need you to build diverse circles. I know this word diversity seems to have become almost a cuss word in this current climate, but I'm telling you, we need diversity. Listen, I am appreciating this fall season that we're in because there is diversity of trees around and they all turn different colors and it makes it beautiful. Mm, See, a healthy emotional climate needs different temperatures. It needs people who think differently, feel differently, process differently. If everybody's the same, then we all end up in the wrong place at the wrong time. Ah, diversity isn't just ethical, y'all, it's regulatory. It keeps a community from catching fire with just one emotion. I need other kinds of people around me so that we regulate each other differently. Like if I'm a hothead, if I need some folk who are calm because they help regulate me. Because I might miss something because I just get so angry so quickly. Or maybe I'm the person who moves so slowly that I'm gonna miss opportunity. I need somebody who'll say, hey, there's an urgency about this. Come on, we gotta move. We need both and, not either or. That brings us to the final thing, right? I need you to model what you need. If you need calm, then I want you to practice calm. If you need grace, I want you to extend grace. Because emotional climates don't shift through argument, they shift through our participation in the atmosphere. So this week, right, I want you to notice the circles you're in. I want you to listen for what's contagious. And ask yourself, what are you amplifying and what are you absorbing? I want you to remember to breathe. I want you to be patient in your responses. I want you to act more curious. Because all of these things, when I slow down and I'm calm and I'm patient and I'm curious, they add something restorative to the environments around us. They do. They do. This means healing can be shared. Like a single person's calm can cause a ripple through the whole circle. A single act of empathy can reopen curiosity. So maybe the question is this. Maybe it isn't how do I stay calm in a broken climate, but maybe it's how do I stay human enough to help repair it? When I think about circle and triangle in this book, standing behind the waterfall, I imagine what would have happened if they had turned around and went back. Not to finish the game, but to ask what they learned about each other in this unknown space. That's the invitation to us. That's the invitation I want to make to us today. To step back into your community, not to prove you're right, but to understand. Can you step back, not to win, but to connect? Because the future of our collective health is dependent upon our ability to not be the loudest, but it's about us being calm and curious and patient and who's willing to influence the climate with courage instead of fear. Fear is a terrible leader. So let's show up this week. Let's show up more resilient, more curious, more aware of the emotional climates that are influencing us, because they don't have to define us. They don't. And we can be steady. And we can be helpful in the presence of our circle so that those around us can breathe again. Okay. And if this conversation spoke to you, then I want you to share it with somebody who needs to hear it. Somebody who needs to engage in this conversation. I want you to share it with your circle because they might need a reminder that influence can be healing and not just hurting. Follow the podcast. Leave a comment. Help spread a healthier climate online, offline, in your relationship. Wherever you're listening, go ahead and subscribe. And remember, you're exactly enough. Till next time, y'all, Dante Poole signing off. Have a good one.